Formula One moves on to its second European race of the season. It's the jewel in the crown as we enter the Principality of Monaco for the legendary Monaco Grand Prix. It's round 8 of the season then, our second of the triple header, before we head over to Spain at the beginning of June, which also takes us to Canada and Austria. The halfway stage of the season is the British Grand Prix in early July, followed then by Belgium. Hungary in early August is our last race before the summer break. We resume in the end with the Netherlands. September takes us to Italy and Azerbaijan as our last Eurasia race. Then it's the flyaways in Singapore, United States, Kota and Mexico in October, Brazil, Las Vegas and the deserts of Qatar in November, and the season rounds out in early December at Abu Dhabi. Oscar Piastri still leads the Drivers' Championship on 146 points to Lando Norris on 133. Max Verstappen's second win of the season last time out has now brought him in on 124. George Russell on 99. Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton now 5th and 6th, with Andrea Chimiantelli's non point last time putting him 7th. Alexander Albon now up to 40 points in 8th, ahead of Esteban Ocon and Lance Stroll, tied on 14. Carlos Sainz now on 11, with Yuki Tsunoda on 10, Pierre Gasly and Isaac Hadjar on 7, 6 apiece for Nico Hülkenberg and Oliver Behrman, and no points for Alonso, Lawson, Bortoletto or Colapinto, and Jack Doohan no longer in the championship. In the Constructors' Championship, McLaren leads on 279 points, with Mercedes on 147. Red Bull now of 131 are closing that gap, but so is Ferrari on 114. Williams in a strong 5th on 51, with Haas on 20. Aston Martin have 14, mainly thanks to Lance Stroll, not Fernando Alonso. Racing Bulls on 10, with Alpine on 7, and Sauber have 6. Let's take a look around the Circuit de Monaco, a 2.074 mile circuit, 19 turns, been in motorsport since 1929. As we approach the centenary, it is still exactly the same circuit. Get a good exit out of the last corner. Keep towards the middle of the track as you begin to rise up to turn 1, Saint-Devote. Keep across the barriers that come up fast towards you at the exit. Rise up, Beau Rivage, towards the top of the peak at Massenet. Careful, drop down 3 gears to about 5th as you hurtle into Casino Square. Avoid the bump on the left-hand side as you hurtle down to Mirabeau. 2nd gear corner. Don't need to change gear as well as you hurtle down to the Fairmont hairpin. 1st gear, 30 mile an hour, the slowest on the entire circuit calendar. Portier 1 and 2 take you through as well, underneath the magical Monaco tunnel that goes black as you hurtle underneath. The lights illuminate and then a big flash as you hurtle down to the Nouvelle chicane. 2nd gear, hug the apex curb as well, go wide then back on the power as you hurtle down flat out towards to back. Little lift and a downshift 1 gear, flat out through the swimming pool chicane before you're braking hard as well, back across the opposite of the pit lane as well into La Rascasse. 3rd gear corner, back on the power, down to 2nd gear for Anthony Noakes, full power, DRS open, up to the line and across, and that is a lap of the 2-mile Monaco street circuit. It's third practice ahead of the Monaco Grand Prix. We're all set to go for what's going to be another fascinating hour in what has been a tricky day so far at the Principality. Let's cross over to Sky Sports F1.
back and put it in the top 10. So that was a great comeback from him. But you need a car that you believe is going to do what you want to do on the exit of the corner. And that's what we saw, for example, with the likes of the Red Bulls yesterday. They just didn't have a car that they felt they could push because this track bites back when you get it wrong, and they can't afford to have that.
Yeah, he's been so good all year, hasn't he? And suddenly there's a couple of mistakes creeping in, but he'll put that behind him. You know, it happens around Monaco, and I love that he's pushing the boundaries. He's done such a good job with that car, and his teammate has been up there in practice as well. So, racing balls. Looking at Q3.
Yeah, well, there were lots of close calls yesterday. He wasn't the only one, but I mean, you've just got to get. I mean, this is Adjo again, just seeing it. But you're going through that section. You've got to be completely pinpoint, and if you're not, you know, then it'll wreck your lap. We've seen so many. We've seen Charles in the wall there. We've seen Max in the wall there.
Yeah, it's all about precision around this track, and I think what's tricky, especially for the rookies, is they're coming from categories below that have much smaller cars. They're a lot more nimble. Visibility is slightly better, so it's all about your spatial awareness and that peripheral understanding of what's happening around you. So you can go wrong just so easily. As you see, Charles, they're all pushing the limits, and that barrier can find you very quickly. And sometimes they get away with it by just brushing the wall, and other times it costs them a corner, and it's not worth it.
There's 6 rookies out there. A lot of dawdling yesterday, and you know, great pace deltas between those on a fast lap. I mean, we saw particular Lewis going up the hill, but this was, this was Charles and Lance Stroll dawdling. He's got a one-place grid penalty and a point on his license for that, but it was happening everywhere. How much of a problem today?
It wasn't just the rookies. I mean, it's everyone, and it's a big issue. This massive speed delta between people pushing on the lap. This one was the scary one for me, Lewis. You should never be slowing down at that part of the track because it's completely blind, as every corner is here, but you're doing 160 miles an hour when you arrive to a car doing 30. So this is an issue. There needs to be such good communication between engineer and driver in qualifying, so this does not happen, because we're going to possibly have a big one.
Okay, well, what will happen today? We have got 1 more hour of practice. We know from how Red Bull have been approaching their weekends that they've been building it into it. So let's just see what they've still got up their sleeve as we join David Croft up in the commentary box alongside Karim.
It's the final practice hour ahead of the Monaco Grand Prix. Welcome along to the streets of the Principality. This place is awesome. Conditions are superb. Track temperature at 38.6, air temperature 21.3, 56% humidity. Top speed at just 185 miles an hour, that's 298 kilometers an hour, 3.337 miles, just over 2 miles in length. 42-meter elevation change as well. It is small, tight, compact, but we love it. It's the ultimate driver challenge that this year has got an extra step. The soft C6, medium C5, hard C4 tyre compound to contend with. And coming into this one with the beautiful Riviera around here, what are we going to see? This is the beginning of the most important qualifying day of the year, because quali here is so crucial. Annoyed that I get to miss the final part, but hey ho, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the land of the rich and famous. We have Las Vegas, but Monaco is always #1. And who will have the luck here today for pole position and the ultimate lap around this place? So far, the local hero and the reigning winner, the Monegasque Charles Leclerc, has topped the timesheets in practice, closely followed as well by the 2 McLarens, Oscar Piastri ahead of Lando Norris. It is a ultimate challenge. It's a hard challenge, but one that they are eager to meet as well. But welcome to Monte Carlo. Green light's going to be on soon. Let's check in with our commentary team at Sky Sports.
Might not just be the extent of where Ferrari's pace was coming from, and they do believe, and I think this is important for a team, that they are in the hunt today.
I think that's all they can ask for, right? I think last year, if we rewind the clock, at this stage of the weekend, Leclerc was a clear favourite. You know, it was really a question of, this is Charles' pole to lose. This year, circumstances are different. You know, the Ferrari has had a tough start to the season. Despite this man winning the sprint in China, it's been a difficult start to the season. But I think what they can ask for, really, is to be in the fight. And that's what they've got. So we think 2 McLarens, certainly 2 Ferraris, and at least Max Verstappen. We haven't seen what Mercedes have got.
So that's the good red. The bad red was Ollie Behrman,
yes,
and a 10-place grid penalty for overtaking under red flags, which you just can't do. Lance Stroll, who Charles Leclerc ran into the back of, was found to be at fault for the crash. He gets a 1-place grid penalty. Not the track where you want a grid penalty, but those are the stewards' decisions. Done and dusted. Let's head down to the pit lane. Ted Kravitz, good afternoon.
Hello Crofty, hello Karun, hello everybody from the pit lane. It's going to be a busy day down here, and we've got the best view for you to let you know exactly what's happening in all the garages. We can see into the McLaren garage. So much expectation, so much untapped potential they felt from yesterday. It was good, it was fine. Yes, one of them had an off and broke a front wing, but it wasn't as good as Ferrari. The answer to your question, Ferrari, really? As you've been saying, Karun, is that yes, Ferrari, really. But they've shown that they can slip up on Saturday. Lewis Hamilton going out. In fact, looks like he's one of the first. Okay, burning up a set, or putting a lap on a set of hard tyres. Let's see how that goes for him. And feeling that there is a 10th or 2 to be found from within him, as Max is late, isn't he, Crofty?
He is a bit.
Max is late to the car, but Red Bull also feeling they've got some performance in there. That's one of the security guys just shepherding Max Verstappen. Didn't have to worry about getting him through the crowds because everyone's been kicked out ahead of FP3. But they'll all be mindful, won't they, Crofty, that the barriers, they haven't moved from yesterday.
Nope.
And we have many people finding them yesterday. Today, FP3 especially, not the session we want to crash the car.
Yes, they haven't moved, but there were plenty of drivers trying to move them yesterday. It was I know Monaco, you get a lot of brushes with the barriers, but there seemed to be more yesterday, and I wonder if that was because the pace was that much hotter, because we're on the softer compound tyres from previous years. I don't know. Jensen Button, welcome to our commentary box.
Hello, lovely to be here.
It is lovely to have you here. Were you a yay-sayer or a nay-sayer when it came to the Ferrari pace yesterday? And after reflecting overnight, where do you stand on this one?
Well, they were quick. They were quickest, but obviously we've found out since that a bit of their lap time was on the straights, so maybe their engines were turned up, as you mentioned before. So they're still in there though, and they can get the tyres working. It's as James Vowles from Williams said yesterday, a lot of the teams are really struggling to get those front tyres in the working window.
And as a result, Karun, teams might be tinkering a bit with how they prepare those tyres as well, on track and off track.
Yeah, that's right. And we're going to see, I think, multiple laps because of that, because we're seeing drivers get down to Sandevot, the first right-hand corner, think the front bite isn't quite there. They then have a little bit of a go up the hill, think with the longer corners of Massenet gets some energy, but it's not quite there. So we'll see multiple laps.
Car performance. McLaren obviously the fastest, leading both championship. Red Bull have done nothing in terms of the data there. Well, they have done something, but it's not given them a gain between Australia and Imola, and that's important because Imola, they had the big upgrade. Mercedes improving, Ferrari improving just a little bit. Williams losing pace, according to that.
And Racing Bulls.
Now, that surprises me somewhat, given the way that both teams have been scoring points, but I'm not an engineer.
Yeah. Anyway, but nice stats. Yeah, it's a funny one around here, isn't it? It's weird how there's so many more cars in the barriers, and maybe it is because they can't get the front tyre working, as you said, Karun. So yeah, this isn't a place you don't want to be confident. You really have to be confident on the brakes here. You've got to be able to hit that pedal hard into turn 1 and hope that it's going to turn and not lock up.
But I think Ted sort of briefly touched on a really important point, Crofty, which is you don't really want to crash the car in FP3. We've seen drivers in the past, Fernando Alonso, 2010 I think it was, Ferrari crashed up at this particular corner there. Max Verstappen had a crash down at the swimming pool chicane, did he?
Charles Leclerc had a crash.
Charles Leclerc.
When getting pole.
Yes, but I mean in FP3, which means you miss qualifying. So you've got to be a little bit mindful of that.
Yeah, but Karun, did you ever drive around your in FP3 and think, you know what, I'm going to take it a little bit easier this session? As soon as that visor closes, you don't.
Well, I'll be honest, the team I was driving with didn't have a spare front wing, so I was a bit cautious at most moments.
It's a fair... Right, we'll ask you. Did you ever drive an FP3 thinking, I can't crash this one?
No. I mean, you never want to crash anyway, so you're always thinking, you know your limits, but sometimes it just goes a little bit wrong.
First championship Monaco Grand Prix was won by an Argentine driver, Juan Manuel Fangio, in 1950. We're on board with the latest Argentine driver in Formula One. A return back in Imola last weekend for Franco Colapinto, who didn't have the greatest of qualifying sessions, even though he did manage to reach Q2. He went off at Tamburello and he finishes this lap, and I'd suggest a little bit cautious, a 1:21.9.
It's gone fastest though. Look at that. See, he's pushing.
I love the way you take a positive from everything. Well done.
But also, talking about pushing in a session, if they're not pushing, they're not getting the right read on what the car's doing either, so you kind of have to.
Kimi Antonelli didn't arrive as late as Max Verstappen, but he's not going out for some time. Why is this? Are they just waiting for the track to
practice, really.
ramp up a little bit? Don't want to waste tyres just yet?
I guess so, yeah. I mean, it is a bit green. Obviously, we've had the F3s running, which would have helped a little bit, but...
Yeah.
And it had the beer wash last night, the traditional Friday beer wash.
Well, how was that?
It was pretty impressive, actually. Raskas was round about 40 persons deep.
I was going to say, T. Kravitz and I thought, oh, we'll have a little wander. And sort of took 5 steps in and thought, no, we're just going to do a U-turn. And
but you imagine in any other sport,
I know,
right? Having a bar on the pitch.
I know.
That's basketball, having it,
Right, I've got the YouTube chat open on my phone because obviously the laptop's got Megan, I've got her laptop, and as well, it's all crazy. Plug says, hello everybody. Yesterday after FP2, Behrman received a 10-place grid penalty for overtaking sides into the red flag. That is true. Lance Stroll receiving a 1-place grid penalty for the contact with Charles Leclerc. SS Racing UK, lots of complaints about the traffic yesterday. If they think that's bad, wait until next year with 2 more cars on the grid. It's going to be absolute chaos. Synthil, hello mate. You guys are really streaming every series at this point. Love it. Yeah, what's going on the racetrack now? F1 practice. It is F1 practice right now. Practice 3 is ahead of us. And yes, since we are basically covering every series under the sun at this point as well. I was up during the middle of the night as well doing the NASCAR stream, and we lost radio for half an hour, which was great. And I didn't have anything to do, so we just had to leave the timings while I tried to fix everything. So at least the timings didn't go down. Xfinity's on tonight as well. That's going to be a lot of fun. And the Cup Series tomorrow alongside the Indy 500. And then we've got touring cars. It's a busy weekend, but it's not as hectic as what we've seen over the past couple of years. Certainly, I think the MotoGP angle of it is going to be the most entertaining tomorrow with Moto 3 and Moto 2. Liam Lawson at the moment, second fastest on a 1:16.075. Might just go fastest overall here with him and Franco Colapinto the top 2 times. Over the line we come, and yeah, he does. Lawson to the top, a 1:15.171. It's usual here on Saturday to not see many cars running out on the circuit. It's sort of a natural progression among the two. There's Toto Wolff with his son, speaking inside the garage as well with Andrea Kimi Antonelli. It's hard to tell which is which, really, isn't it, as well? Toto's son and Antonelli, they're both so young. But coming through. Well, I was just guessing. Well, I guessed that right. You did, Cole. Well done. Cole, I hope you're joining us for the NASCAR Coca-Cola 600 tomorrow as well. We're on here practically all day. It's going to be quite the show and quite the atmosphere build-up as well as we get prepared for one of the greatest spectacles in racing. So there is Liam Lawson now, just filing out there on the track. Hopefully he's not going to do too bad. I don't know Megan's laptop that well. I'm trying to dim the brightness on the screen. Lawson, track grip is very low. I'm not really surprised there, unfortunately, between the two, but we don't digress too much as the situation goes on. Let's just quickly fly over to Sky.
Is it?
No. But yeah, you say that, but every single week that seems to be a theory, that it will get better if we just stay here for a little bit longer. Yeah, 20 years have passed since Williams last took a podium finish here in Monaco. Could they possibly have that on their CV by the end of this weekend? They were certainly looking strong yesterday. So Liam Lawson, fastest man, times from just him and Franco Colapinto. Lewis Hamilton went out on a set of hards just to scrub them in and then return to the pits.
Yeah, that's the situation as it currently stands then, as we will wait to have a bit more information and a bit more strategy guides as well to come into it. Now, I'm not entirely sure this will work because we're on Megan's laptop and it doesn't really like doing things, but I'm going to have a go because it is connected via Ethernet, so it should load in. Might be a bit thingy. I'm going to give it a go to try and get us access to the audio. Site cannot be reached. Yeah, so oh no, it's letting me in. Let's see if it'll sign in, and then we'll get the trackside commentary of the guys over there at F1 TV. Colapinto 1:15.013, Lawson and Hadjar, your top three. Everyone else has done a couple of installation laps, but nobody has done the full-on run. Strangely enough, my password's already in here. I don't think I've signed in here before. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. That would be quite the turnaround. But I should be able to open the live timing quite quick. I thought someone was coming into the comments box there to have a word, but I don't think that's the case. Okay, so timing screen operational, loading in, and we will get ready. Megan's on the the MotoGP FP2 coverage right now on JBMotorsports 2. 459 live viewers. British Grand Prix certainly is popular, isn't it? Over there as well. But that's the place to see the sessions, and then the races will be live on JBMotorsports. It's a bit of a mess at the moment, but soon we'll have qualifying the main races on the main channel. Let's have right now, though, a word with our commentary team of Alex Jakes out there on the circuit.
Around this racetrack as Isaac Hadjar looking for a slightly less dramatic day, but looking for the same pace. He was very quick around here last year. He was unlucky not to win the feature race in Formula 2 last year. Really did show everyone the way around this circuit, and then he went peak F2. Timing of that right about there. 2 cars left the pit lane at the exact moment Zach O'Sullivan needed a crash to happen. It did happen, and he was able to pit at the perfect timing, came into the pits to make his mandatory stop. Virtual safety car came out at the exact moment, and Isaac Hadjar still to this day cannot believe that he didn't take home the largest trophy.
I'd be absolutely gutted if something like that
around Monaco.
Around Monaco. It's even in the lower formula, winning in Monaco, it's the special feeling. These are the iconic streets. And if you lose it for a technicality or a VSC or just basically luck, well, that is extremely tough to stomach. He'll get over it if he has a good weekend here now, though.
Yeah, chasing another point-scoring finish. Here's a driver who was on the podium last year in Formula 2 as well in the sprint race. That's Gabriel Bortoletto, who posts the 3rd fastest time. He's out-qualified Nico Hulkenberg 2 races in a row. You're looking at Matteo Bonotto, who is the head of the Audi F1 project. And looking on in the garage, and there's not a lot going on the racetrack at the moment. Ayumu Iwasa, another successful driver in FIA Formula 2, had FPs as well, and he is on reserve driver duty. And we see ourselves in the background there, just trying to wave to get immediately trying to.
48 minutes remain then in the practice session for Formula 1 and the 3rd practice here in Monte Carlo. A few more cars now circulating out there on the track. Let's check in with Sky.
Here's Esteban Ocon going 6th fastest. Esteban Ocon finished and qualified 3rd previously here. Has a podium in Monaco. Dearly would love that, I'm sure, this weekend. 2023 was his podium year. But Haas, I don't think, fancy their chances, even before Ollie Behrman's 10th-place grid penalty.
No, it's definitely not a race for them, it doesn't seem. But this is quite a weird session, isn't it? How there's only a few cars out there, and every time they do a lap, they go quicker.
Yeah, but the It's kind of FP3 Monaco, isn't it? Nothing happens for the first 25 minutes, and then they all complain of traffic for the next 35 minutes.
And you understand why, because they want to get the circuit needs to be as close to qualifying as possible. But do you want to stick some more regs in there, Karun? It says they have to run in the first 20 minutes.
No, I pick and choose the bits that matter. Qualifying in the race.
Yeah, doesn't matter. It's still awesome seeing one Formula One car out there pushing to the limit, even though it's low grade.
Hadja to the line for second fastest time. That's interesting. That puts Hulkenberg's lap into a little bit of perspective there. 500ths off Isaac Hadja. Nico Hulkenberg, he's been a bit unlucky over the years, I would say, here in Monaco. He's only reached Q3 once. He's had 11 attempts to reach Q3. He's only reached Q3 once. He has, though, started 11th on 6 occasions. So that's the hard luck story for Monaco, I think.
Yeah. I mean, 10th or 11th.
But
you're probably better off starting 11th. Remember when we used to have the tyre change?
See, there you go, finding the positives once again.
See, you remember when you were outside the top 10, you could run whatever you wanted at the start of the race. Tabac seems to get tighter every year, I see it.
Well, Leclerc was amazing through there. I was just looking at some of the overlays compared to the McLarens or Lewis, and Tabac was the corner where Charles just carried more speed on the way in through the apex and on the way out. He is mighty around here, Crofty. Is it 3 poles so far, chasing his 4th Monaco pole this weekend, is he?
Yep, absolutely. Charles Leclerc over the years has been on pole last year, on pole 2022, and on pole in 2021.
And how many years?
When he didn't start.
How many years has he been in Ferrari?
With Ferrari, 4. Because we didn't have a race in 2020 here.
So every year.
Every year, where he's been kind of right up there, apart from 6th in 2023.
He was 2019 we were here, weren't we? We were here 2019, and he was at Ferrari then.
Oh, right, so there you go, 5 then. I'm not going to disagree. It's Karun on numbers once more.
Exactly.
Well, only because I know he won his first race in 2019 in Monza. That podium was amazing.
Well, there you go then. I'd completely forgotten that was 2019.
6 years ago.
When you get to our age, well, my age even, Leclerc on the track now, out of the tunnel, down to the chicane.
Really is bumping through as well, trying to get as much apex speed as he possibly can. Brings it up towards Tabac. Flicks the car in Hamilton video.
Sliding a lot.
Yeah, as well, we saw yesterday how much the rears were sliding on that Ferrari. Past the commentary box, then down towards Las Cas. For Charles Leclerc, he's got the 2 Saubers aboard Letz and Hulkenberg directly ahead, but he's managed to navigate that quite quickly. Hulkenberg practically stops to the apex. Hulkenberg's in the wall! Hulkenberg is in the wall at Anthony Noakes, and that is why he's gone straight on, and he's managed to pull it back in a reverse. He goes forward, and the man who's currently P1 in this session went straight on, and has luckily, I don't think, done a single bit of damage. How lucky is he? Amazing. 9 times out of 10, that is a goodbye Vienna. Let's see how he did it. So, through the swimming pool section. So it's a build-up lap. He's on now. He's about to go into a push lap. Into Raskas. Got Bortoleto ahead of him. Leclerc's coming round. Bortoleto lets him go. And Hulkenberg just turns in and locks up. Goes straight on.
Should have it there.
Went straight on.
Yeah, just locked it straight. Sadly, we've seen that many a time before here at Monaco, and many a time this weekend as well. Was lucky not to plough straight into the barrier. That would have been a red flag to the session. Lando Norris up by Ravage towards Massenet on his lap time on the C6 soft tyres now. Through Casino Square he comes. Down towards Mirabeau. First sector time, he's up by a 10th only on Nico Hulkenberg's lap time. Into the Fairmont hairpin. Portier 1 and 2. Rear sliding out. Jumps the curb. Controls it nicely. Into Portier and through the tunnel. Open up all of the McLaren, Mercedes engine grunt and all the hybrids as well down into the braking zone for the Nouvelle chicane. Stroll's got on top. 1:13.436 through to back for Norris. He's up by a 10th and a half into the swimming pool chicane. The right, the left, the right again, then into the Rascasse. Antino's next. We're sliding over the line. He comes now. Lando Norris with Hamilton now on a 1:13.415. It's a 1:12.970 for Lando Norris. Max Verstappen is looking quick as well as the session goes on. Gasly P7 at the moment. Leclerc looking faster. First sector for him is improving. Verstappen only up by 0.142. Leclerc's first sector time was a 19.007. He's up now by 0.3 of a second. Nice time as well. So we might get into the 1:12.4s here. Lawson goes 5th on a 1:13.802. Max Verstappen over the line goes 2nd, 1:13.087. Charles Leclerc to the top of the board by 2.5 tenths. It's a 1:12.712. So he lost a lot of time in that middle sector, but it's still good enough. Ted.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, Fernando Alonso still in the garage. I think he's the only one, Crofty, although Alpine are about to bring one of their cars in. Just checking on the Aston Martin. I can't see any, and there's no work going on to it. And he looks all ready to go. So, yeah, Stroll out, but Alonso not yet out there. Interesting, just watching from the pit lane, the McLaren's just bouncing over that curb on the exit of the swimming pool, but able to land the car and then get straight on the gas. So that looked pretty good. Alonso going out now, by the way, on the soft tyre.
As Yuki Tsunoda, also on the medium tyre, goes 4th fastest. We've got a real mix there in the top 10. 5 on soft, 5 on mediums. So it's not just the race, JB, where the strategy comes into play there.
Yeah, exactly. It's and also when are you going to use your tyres? If you prefer the medium tyre, when will you actually use that? Will you save it for Q2, Q3? It's a tricky one. So
I suppose it depends on what you think your ultimate best lap is going to be, and then what the ultimate target time for getting in or out of various sessions is going to be.
Realistically, you would think the soft tyre just should be better around here, not so many high-speed corners. But you would go for the medium in Q1, as you mentioned yesterday, because you need to do more laps on the tyre because you're going to have traffic for many.
Caveat to that is, do you need 2 sets of mediums for the race? Because if you look at the tyre sheet at the moment, nobody's, you haven't got more than 2, have you? So you might, I think that's the trade-off. Yeah. Could you, if you did one run in Q1, as you're suggesting, those tyres still should be okay to do a stint in the race.
Yeah.
So I think those are the conversations to be had before you get to qualifying.
Not if you're pitting on lap 10 for your second stop. Yeah, that's the only thing.
So that's what I mean. There's lots of sort of permutations in that.
Lando Norris puts 3.5 tenths between himself and Charles Leclerc. The way it's shaping up, you might just get your wish here, where they run a hard, medium and soft in the race tomorrow.
Because I think the thing to point out, Crofty, is to make the strategy work, unlike we saw in a place like Miami, right, where it's about bringing the tyres in gently to get longevity, it's absolutely the opposite. Yeah. You have to go out of the pits and hammer the tyres on the outlap, and whatever bit of free air you get as soon as you come out of the pits, you absolutely have just hammer it, even if you lose performance later on, because the gain is going to be in that early part.
Carlos Sainz and Lewis Hamilton getting close together on the entry into Casino Square. Hamilton was going a lot slower.
Tried to get out of the way, I couldn't see past the car that was behind me.
And an explanation there as to why he wasn't completely out of the way, or far enough away for Carlos Sainz's liking. So tomorrow's race, because overtaking, is kind of rarer than snow on a camel's back when it comes to Monaco. It's all about racing against the clock, isn't it? How fast can we do this race? And will that be enough to get to the checkered flag first?
Well, and also, how early can we do our last stop? That's normally the way, isn't it? How early can we do that last stop and hold on for the rest of the race? And interestingly, looking at the tyres, it's McLaren and Hamilton that are lacking 2 sets of the medium tyres. So you'd say they would be at a disadvantage if we're thinking that the tyre for the race is the medium.
Yeah, you probably do. You can do 6 laps on the medium here, still take it into the race. if you were using them in qualifying, but you wouldn't want to if you could get away with it. We're watching Charles Leclerc on the stopwatch currently, another fastest first sector from him. If you want to ride on board with Charles Leclerc, you can of course do so, and we are riding on board with him on the left-hand side of your screen. There's a QR code for you. It'll help you get to your Sky Sports app. Use your Sky Sports ID to log in. Sky Glass, Sky Q, Sky Stream, or Now customers, just press the interactive button on your remote control. Team radio and onboards all available for you. And by the end of the qualifying, if you're using the onboard channel, you'll be watching from behind the sofa with your hands covering your eyes, because it's frightening.
Yeah, I'm like me right now. I love that little drift from Charles through Raskas. He just got the rear nicely rotating to get the good exit.
And it worked for him, 10th and a half up on Lando Norris. Carlos Sainz, point scorer in each and every one of his 9 Monaco Grand Prix that he has started. Crosses the line, 10th fastest only for Williams. Karun Chandler, why is there 3/10 difference between Leclerc and Norris in the first sector?
That's where he was strong. Yesterday.
Verstappen's just gone purple in the first sector.
Yeah, but I mean, we sort of saw that difference yesterday, didn't we? Between Leclerc and the McLarens. First sector in Leclerc's favour, middle sector McLaren. The middle sector is a load of slow corners. You go through, you know, around Mirabeau, the hairpin, Portier, and then the chicane. Whereas the first sector is a bit more flowing. You've got the punch up the hill as well. And high speed, we know, is a strength of the Red Bulls. We saw it in Imola, the first sector there, they were very strong.
Verstappen to the end of the middle sector, 34.2. Which is pretty decent, but once again he was quite strong in the opening parts of this lap. Remember when he got pole ahead of Fernando Alonso here, Max Verstappen in 23, and he took 2/10 out of Alonso's time just on the final sector, which is pretty unheard of here in Monaco because it's such a short sector. Goes fastest.
It does, and at that point, you know, if you've pushed really hard, especially on the soft tyre, they've taken a pounding, especially traction.
That's the Alpine right in the way there, and I don't think it could really have done much to get out.
It didn't know that the Alpine didn't know. Yeah, the Alpine didn't know as Piastri over the line goes 4th fastest. Didn't know exactly where that damage was out on the circuit. So, I'm sorry I'm so here, there and everywhere, but that's what you get when you're trying to do a billion different things at once on with everybody doing everything, because Omi's got Italian F4, JT's PC has got British Touring Cars, Megan's on my laptop doing Monaco GP, and I'm doing Formula 1. So I'm sort of a one-man banding it everywhere at the moment. As the atmosphere builds and the tension rises, check in with the YouTube chat. What have you all been lovely people saying? Is there an F2 race at Monaco or any of the sports? Because before F1 Sunday race, we had F3 this morning. F2 is coming up after this session. Isaac Hadjar down into the Nouvelle chicane, locks up, there's a radio.
Isaac Hadjar knows a thing or two about
And yeah, Sonoda was drifting in the tunnel. We saw this last year, and another amazing avoidance skill from Isaac Hadjar is coming. Don't tell me it's the same as F2. Yeah, it was. Yuki dangerously in the inside of the tunnel.
Yeah, my bad to Hadjar. It's not ideal.
Copy.
It's been noted for impeding. No further investigation already come up between the two. So it got noted, and then it got, oh, hang on a minute, we're not supposed to be noting these anymore. Back it goes. Bortoletto. Touching the inside barrier into Mirabeau. Sorry, down into Massenet. Into Casino Square. So just touch the inside barrier on the front right. So Verstappen on a 111.961 on the medium C5 tyre compound. He's fastest, from Norris in second, Leclerc third, Piastri's fourth, who's just coming to the pit lane, Russell fifth, Hamilton sixth, Albon seventh, Stroll eighth, Hadjar ninth, Tsunoda rounds out your top 10, Antonelli, Hülkenberg, Sainz, Lawson, Alonso, Gasly, Bortoletto, Behrman, Ocon and Colapinto. That's your 20. At the moment, over the line for Tsunoda. He goes second fastest now with a 1:12.056 on the mediums. First time since his debut race with the Red Bull team he's been anywhere near max all weekend long. Inside the technical, a yellow flag, Lance Stroll up Beau Rivage. Has he got a problem? We've gone green now. Just a slow yellow flag was deployed. So that's the quick heart stopper moment as the rest of the action comes through. Max Verstappen looking very racy indeed as he comes over the line, and it's now a 1. Ted's got news.
Not saying he was particularly happy with the car yesterday, but the speed was still there, targeting a top 10 at least in qualifying with both of them. But is Sainz struggling a bit today, from what you're seeing?
He is at the moment, but could be on a different plan though, and not quite as lightly fueled as others. I'll tell you who isn't struggling is Charles Leclerc, lap after lap. He's right up there, and he's into the 1:11.5s now, 10th up on Max Verstappen. Hamilton third and Tsunoda fourth. On the weekend, he becomes the most experienced Japanese racing driver in Grand Prix ever, getting... was it Yuko Katayama, wasn't it?
Yuko Katayama.
Yeah, the previous most experienced Japanese driver.
Leclerc is he's just dynamite around this place, isn't he? I know he's more familiar with every inch of the street than anyone else, but he is just spectacular to watch.
Ooh.
Oh.
Here we go.
Completely blocked me.
I kind of didn't sense the arrival of Ocon, didn't see in the mirrors, and yeah, that was a blocking. I mean, it is practice. Yuki acknowledged that it was his fault, put his hand up and said, yeah, look, sorry about that, Isaac. But this is what happens when people try and make a bit of a gap, because
it just gets messy out there.
5 seconds, 4 or 5 seconds, at least here, not to be disturbed. And they want to make sure they can do that to start the lap. Karun, take us through this.
Yeah, using lots of curve at the apex of Saint-Devote, then up the hill. So just an amazing feeling when you go over the crest of Massenet and chuck the car in to the left-hander through Casino Square now, dropping downhill. He's got a little bit of traffic in front, which is again Tsunoda, but I think couldn't see behind the trees, but let's assume he got out of the way. But he's down, isn't he? He's a long way down in the first sector, so maybe Piastri's taking the best out of these tyres. We'll see as the lap unfolds. Yeah, rear of the car again squirming about. So the track temperature of 41 degrees. Maybe those rear tyres are crying enough. Let's see if the chicane. Felt like he went a little bit deep in the first apex there, and that compromised the line for the second part. Just looking from high up now. Plenty of curb as we come through the second part of the swing. The car didn't land off that curb particularly well on the rear. And again, coming back to the ride qualities being quite important around here, more so than most other circuits, as Piastri up to the line improved second and third sector, but the first one was down.
Scruffy.
Yeah, interestingly,
but Verstappen's looking faster in those first two sectors at 18.515, 33.774. So Verstappen out of the last corner, up towards the line now. Very, very strong time. Can he beat Verstappen? Can he beat Leclerc? Yes, he can. 1:11.233 for Max. Albon over the line, goes fourth fastest with a 1:11.980. Remarkable times for the Williams still here. What about Gasly? Next over the line. And moves up into 11th.
Solid performer, I think, in qualifying of late. That's just 11th for him as it stands.
Yeah, but so far, Verstappen and Leclerc are on a different planet to everybody else, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Third place, Lewis being 6 tenths off. When we get to Q3, you expect the entire top 10 to be in less than that, normally.
Oh, I think they will be by the end of the session.
Yeah.
It's just finding the lap, and it's just getting better every lap. Being on the medium tyre would definitely be the preferable tyre right now, as they've done so many laps on these tyres. So that's an
that lap
advantage.
by Piastri, JB, was he'd done 7 laps. Yeah, 7 laps on those tyres. Come in for a change of tyre, or come in for a pit stop, and gone out again. It was only his first flying lap after he left the pit lane. So I wonder if they made some setup adjustments as well that haven't quite come off.
They've also put the fuel back in.
Yeah.
So that, as we've seen, people aren't really getting on their first lap. It's taken them a while. Some of that is confidence, but some of that is the fuel also coming off around a place like this as the track grip goes up.
And Verstappen pits, which makes you feel that he's come to the end of whatever fuel life they wanted to explore.
Actually, how many times has Colapinto kisses the barrier there? How many times, probably this season, have we come out of FP3 and seen big gaps? Think of Bahrain.
Yeah.
McLaren's miles ahead of everyone. Miami. And actually, when it sort of shakes out in qualifying, the others turn the engines up and it all gets a bit closer. So it's always a little bit dangerous to read too much into the times. In this session, oh, that's naughty.
Come on, Franco.
Yeah, Colapinto blocked Behrman.
Yes, he's trying to back up there. He's looked in his mirrors. He's looked in his mirrors again. He's seen Behrman coming. And is he trying to get out of the way, or what's he trying to do there? See, that to me is just nonsensical. On a hot lap, Lando Norris.
What's Stroll doing? I mean, he's just blue flag is no good.
I mean, the problem is for Stroll, he's got a Ferrari in front of him, so.
Yeah, but he was he strolling? Was Lando right to feel aggrieved there?
We were having this debate, Jensen, this morning on the bus coming into work about whether about whether Q1 should be split into groups. Crofty and I are of the opinion of, listen, part of the challenge of Monaco, and it's always been difficult with traffic, is that trying to make it work. What do you think?
As long as, you know, it's not just done by the quickest 15 cars, 16 cars, you know, it has to be done by, because the second qualifying, the B part of Q1 would always be quicker.
Yeah, and that's where it gets impossible to actually.
So you can just choose half the drivers from each session would work better.
Also, the spectacle would be halved, and just 20 cars all trying to get out of the bottom 5 in Q1. Absolutely phenomenal spectacle, and we get. Year after year, we talk about it going into qualifying, and year after year, they manage to sort it all out.
Time and time again.
It doesn't always become an issue.
Because you can't also split it down the middle, can you?
No.
Cars, because it's 15 cars, it's 7.5 cars in each session.
Ted Kravitz at Red Bull.
Who, Crofty, after going down a bit of a blind alley on the setup, particularly on Verstappen's car, or rather going over the top of performance, have found the sweet spot, haven't they?
Yeah.
That Red Bull is going to be the biggest challenger to Ferrari. In fact, we could flip it and say maybe Ferrari
the biggest challenge to Red Bull,
later on in qualifying today. And you know that when Yuki Tsunoda is banging in the lap times, and he is quick around here, P6 at the moment, and still with the older nose cone and floor. And I've actually double-checked this with the team. I don't know if you can see this. Yuki with the old nose that goes down and meets the main front wing main plane. Max with the new one, with the separated nose, the nose a little bit further up, allowing that better bite from the front wing main plane. So Max with the new, even so with Yuki with the old, as an afterthought from his, or a consequence of his Imola crash, Yuki is actually up there in qualifying. So, yeah, they found it once again, haven't they? They found the setup once again, like they always do.
The guy who was on pole last year and the guy who was on pole the year before that are the two that are out in front currently, separated by a couple of tenths of a second. Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc. Norris and Hamilton third and fourth. Hamilton half a second adrift of Max. Yuki Tsunoda in sixth, as Ted was saying.
Yep, let's go over then to F1 TV. Alex Jakes on the team.
Through the exit here, and so yeah, incredible part of the racetrack. I cannot believe we get this close to Formula One cars at full speed.
I can't believe you're that far away from the barrier edge, Brundle. Thought you'd have your foot on it. You'll get in trouble with that marshal, sir. You'll get in trouble with that marshal.
I will. They'll be looking at me very, very sideways. Man, this is the best trackside spot of the year. Unbelievable.
Thank you, Alex.
Look at that.
I'm happy the car is giving me a good feeling. It's just, I need to see where it can be quicker.
Such a methodical driver, Carlos Sainz. He's got a great record around here. Multiple point scoring finishes, podiums as well. Just always, no matter what he's driven around here, seems to be in strong form. Inside the top 10, which by Williams standards is what they've come to expect, as we showed the lap count on the left-hand side. But he wants to dig into the telemetry then, Carlos Sainz. Wants to see where he is adrift compared to his teammate. And if you consider that Sainz has been the lead Williams on the grid for the last 3 rounds in a row, the gap is pretty sizable between Albon in 5th and Sainz in P10. To Liam Lawson, not too far away from the barrier, not too far away from where Alex Brundle was standing, but they are leaving. Well, normally you'd be nudging it. That's pretty near perfect.
Yep, I'll give that a 10 out of 10 for Lawson. Still matching fairly well the pace of Isaac Hadjar in the Racing Bulls. They've tumbled down the order to 14th and 15th. Still circulating at the moment and trying to find that little bit more.
So Max Verstappen set the fastest time. He did so on the medium tyre. He's 0.2 of a second quicker than Charles Leclerc. Leclerc, Norris, Hamilton and Albon all on the soft tyre when they set their fastest lap so far. As you look down into the garage of Pierre Gasly, he will tie the race start number of Ayrton Senna, his racing hero, when he takes the lights on Sunday.
Right, should we buckle up? This is going to be the final runs before qualifying.
Here we go.
And I kind of think that qualifying starts at the end of FP3 as well. And we've seen qualifying defining moments in FP3. If you get it wrong at this stage, then you're not going to be qualifying. But if you get it right, you end up in such a good window and vein of form for the qualifying hour as well. And we have got drivers now switching to a new set of softs, and this will be their final attempt. We've got Alex Albon at the moment, just starting a lap on the new soft tyres, and he's already shown good pace on his first set. So with the track ramping up, I'm expecting Albon to find something here as an early sighter to see if he can get on top of Verstappen's medium set time.
So Hulkenberg goes up to 7th position. The time yesterday was a 1:11.3. We have progressed to a 1:11.2 with only Max Verstappen. So it's now time to see what the true picture is. Alex Albon, with this new set of tyres, going nowhere fast, certainly compared to his lap previously.
We're not seeing many people fire up soft tyres on the first lap either yet. I don't think we've seen a lap that's been set on a first lap of these softs. Albon does do that just by improving his final sector and finding a 10th of a second. But he's gone early and he can go long in this run as well. For qualifying, you want to be able to switch them on quickly. The theoretical best lap should come on the first lap when the tyres are fresh. You've got more rubber on there, and if you can get it in, we'll be able to get the grip. But it's about trying to do that. And of course, with outlaps, with impeding and everything else in play, it's not that easy to get them fired up.
Lee Stevenson, familiar face, who transferred from Red Bull to what will become Audi next.
Relative to Alex, those are sort of the primary gains and losses. What he'll do now, what he really means is he needs to spend some time looking at the data that I can see in front of me in the garage so that he can go back out and work on those areas.
Hey James, it's Jensen.
Hi, Jensen.
We've just been talking a lot. I know we're looking towards qualifying right now, but we've just been talking a lot about the race and strategy. Have your guys been hard at it with working on strategy and finding a special way to get that podium this year?
I think a podium is unfortunately far-reached, but what they've been definitely doing is making sure that we have the right tyres for qualifying, which then leads into the race. So yes, they've been looking at the race, but a lot of it really depends on whether you qualify 5th or 8th or 12th, which that will obviously figure out tonight. What they've mainly been looking at is actually, do we use the medium or the soft come quali, which I still think is a question many teams will be asking themselves.
Well, James, we've seen Max Verstappen, for example, on the medium tyre looking very quick in this session. But it's complicated, isn't it? Because it looks like the medium is going to be a race tyre for the race tomorrow as well. Just for fans at home to understand, you know, that allocation surely is key to make the decision for today as well, isn't it?
Yes, so exactly that. When Jensen was asking about it, what it more meant was the impact is what tyres we run now in FP3 and how we run qualifying. But I think the medium's looking good as a race tyre and maybe as a qualifying tyre.
So you're keeping a set back for qualifying. Where do you use it? Get out of Q1, get into Q3, or where?
Well, we've got 2 sets, and you'll find out in qualifying.
Oh, stop this. You know how impatient I am. So can you tell me, are you keeping 2 sets back for qualifying, or does one of those need to be a race tyre as well?
I'll let you know post-session.
James Fowles, you spoil all my fun. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Grinning as he says it. Or can the medium tyre do 2 Can you do a Q1 and a Q2 on the medium tyre? Can you do a Q2 or a Q3 on the same medium tyre?
I think it really depends on your car performance. If you're in a Red Bull or a Ferrari, it's a different circumstance to if you're in a Williams. But I tell you who is absolutely flying on the soft tyre in the first sector was Max Verstappen. But I wonder, Jensen, has he overcooked it? You know, as the laps unfolded, the middle sector's gone away a bit.
It has a little bit. You could see him getting a bit of oversteer before the tunnel, which would have hurt his straight line speed all the way to the chicane out of the tunnel, the Nouveau chicane. But no, still not a bad lap. But I think we are all, I think they are just struggling on the new tyres to get the first lap out of it when they get the fuel back in. So a cool down lap, and he'll go again.
Pole last year, by the way, was a 1:10.2. Still got a second to find to go faster than that.
Yeah, Verstappen did a build lap, though, didn't he? He did a 1:27 build lap to try and get some temperature into the front tyres on those soft before he went for it. This is Hamilton. So sector 1 for Lewis, about a 10th down on Max. Sector 2, couple of tenths down on Max's best. So we'll see if this brings him into the top 3.
No, keeps 5th fastest, does Lewis Hamilton. Track temperature going up all the time as well. Normally when that happens, the times don't get much quicker. And we still don't know, obviously, at this stage, what the fuel loads that the drivers are running. Half a second down with Carlos Sainz with just one sector to go. This should put him round about 6th fastest if he carries on at the same similar pace.
Yeah, it just underlines what a great job Alex Albon's doing, isn't it? I saw he had the Prime Minister of Thailand here.
She was here, yes.
He was, Alex was showing her around, and obviously there's a lot of work going on there for a potential home Grand Prix for him.
And Alex is very keen for Formula One to come and experience the delights of his nation. And we're very keen to go there as well. Will be another street race, of course, but there are street races like Monaco and there are street races like Las Vegas, and they two can be quite different.
I haven't so much instantly, I don't know why.
Copy.
That's why he's actually backed off in his current lap. Sainz, by the way, did go 6th fastest. Albon, you say Alex is doing a great job here today, and he is. Kind of needs to as well, because he's been out-qualified by Carlos Sainz by the last 4 races. And given how he's had the handle over his teammate for the previous 2 seasons, he's only been out-qualified twice. It's quite a thing.
It is, yeah. He's still got the points in the race, though, so he'll still be brimming with confidence, I think, coming into this one.
A lot of four-wheel sliding into the 8 and the last corner.
Okay, understood.
Let's have a look at the last corner then. That's the sliding that Max Verstappen was talking about. Ted, down to you.
So what have we got, Crofty? 14 minutes left, according to the clock that I can see down here.
Yeah.
And tune out now if you don't want to hear tyre chat. I know how you love it, but both Astons, who of course pulled the medium tyre trick in qualifying in Imola, even though, according to Karun Chandok, it was useless.
Well, no, I just looked at the numbers, Ted. They didn't improve. Everyone else improved and they did it. That's just fact. That's not opinion.
Okay.
Just before you ban me from having a coffee ever again at Aston Martin.
They are going for it again. They are going for it again. So let's see what they do now. They're on the mediums now with 14 minutes left and everybody else on softs. Is there a decision to be made there? Is it obvious? Could it help them? I mean, the reason they do it, Karun, they thought for their car that's hard on its tyres, it was the best way. But round here, discuss.
It was a very good way to get them into Q3 in Imola last week. I know you say others didn't improve, but it was very much at the expense of the 2 Ferraris, who certainly weren't improving themselves, and I just think they gave themselves a real fighting chance. Max Verstappen continuing his struggles and saying that the grip just isn't there. So have we gone out of the working window of these super soft tyres?
Possibly, but he still also has done the quickest lap on track.
Yeah.
He did 11.29, which is only 600ths off of his best.
Yeah, that's the current moment of things as well, as I've just realised that Omi's in the background. I don't know how long he's been there, so I'll say hello. Hello, Omi, how are you doing? Can Omi hear me? I'm not entirely sure. On board with Alexander Albon then, with 12 minutes to go in this session. The atmosphere building. 0.3 down. Tsunoda bouncing over the curbs. He's desperately trying to get the same mantra back. Discord's going funny now. Hello, Amy, can you hear me? I think he can, but I can't hear him. But either way, hello. So, session's underway. Here comes Charles Leclerc over the line. Can he go faster? No, he's 2 tenths down again. It's a 1:11.444 though. As Behrman jumps up to 13th. A big improvement from him. 1:12.336. Piastri jumps over the curbs. It's supposed to be the final runs going into a qualifying session for later, and we're not seeing that much improvement. We're not seeing as big of a change around as we were expecting. Piastri goes 6th fastest, 6 tenths down on the overall best time. Lots still to play for though here at the moment. Oh, of course. Second practice session of the British Touring Car Championship is about to start as well. If you're watching that, hello to everybody. It's a busy day here on JB Motorsports. Busy weekend, really, as well. Norris, 3rd fastest. First sector time, 18.596. Going once and going twice. See if there'll be a better improvement there. So far, just hugging that inside line. Time and time again, there's changes, improvements, atmospheres. As Norris, 3rd fastest over the line with a 1:11.490. He's just a fraction off, 23 thousandths in his own best time as things stand. Russell holding through now as well, safe and strong. On the soft tyres, this will be the race simulation, but quali laps on all tyres. They'll navigate exactly how much differential there is between them. What a remarkably calm practice we've had here in Monte Carlo ahead of qualifying later. Qualifying is going to be absolutely nuts. I hope everybody's ready for it. Andrea Kimi Antonelli into the braking zone, gets through on Lewis Hamilton. Bortoletto trying to get through Hamilton. I think Hamilton's held him up actually coming through the Nilo chicane. Through to back now for Antonelli. The lap time differential between Formula E and Formula 1 is unbelievable here. And yet Formula E has a lot more exciting racing at Monaco than Formula 1. It makes you think, doesn't it? Yes, faster, but not better. Antonelli goes P9, 1:12.013 for his lap time as the white flag goes out. Peter Bonington, senior race engineer for Andrea Kimi Antonelli, watches on. Talks with his engineers on the pit wall. So far, all so good then in this session so far as Piastri blurts into vision. 9 minutes to go then here in Monte Carlo.
Compromising and qualifying. You know, for turn 1, turn 2, take it a little bit easier so they have those tyres in the really important zones, which is the last 2 corners for traction.
Here we go, here we go. Middle sector.
Piastri.
Fastest of anybody for Oscar Piastri here.
Or is it about how you treat the tyres on warm-up, and do you maybe have to go a little bit more slowly to gently bring them in, or can you attack and be aggressive to keep the temperature? Piastri 2nd fastest behind Max Verstappen, and he lost the time to Verstappen in the first part of the lap. So maybe he has tried what you suggested there, just to back off a little bit in the first part.
Because his last sector was actually good.
It was. I think it's tyre preparation, isn't it? And I said this right at the start, not just on track, but also to what temperature do you heat the tyres in the blankets? How long are they in for? We know it's up to 70 degrees for 2 hours in the blankets, but you don't have to go up to 70 degrees if you don't want to. You might actually want to keep it a little bit lower so the tyres are at different pressures and maybe a bit more robust when they come out of the blankets. I'm no chef, I don't know.
It's just so much for the drivers to think about. That's the thing. And it's, you know, these are the conversations they'll all be having in the 2-hour gap between the end of this session and getting ready for qualifying.
Russell.
People are going for double calls as well. Will you tell me what you want? Because at the moment we're nowhere and I'm running out of ideas for this session. So we're doing the double call.
Here's an idea for you. Charles Leclerc, fastest in the middle parts of this lap. And if you're doing double calls as well, boy, does that make it confusing in Q1.
For her traffic management for engineers. So. Oh.
Leclerc, fastest! 1:11.179. Charles Leclerc jumps to the top of the timesheets.
And in the grandstands, pops up right towards the end with a time that's half a tenth, 500ths of a second faster than Max Verstappen.
It's 1 year anniversary, isn't it, of him working with this man, Brian Botzi. They started together in Monaco last year and won first time out. I was talking to Charles about that on Thursday, and he's saying he actually feels like he's got a very young team around him now. He's got his performance engineers, all of that. They've got a nice, young, energetic dynamic going on there.
Oh, that was close. It was. Lando Norris through the chicane.
And he's up.
He's put in a 33.6 for the middle sector, fastest we've had so far. Yeah, hello.
Oliver jump on the swimming pool in the middle of the curve. Norris is flying, 33.657. Little touch of the wall coming through the Rascasse. Over the line we go now for Lando Norris. Is it a faster time? Answer no. 68 thousandths down, Verstappen.
Already, man. I'm crying with all these tires.
But he's nearly...
Yeah, so Max is not happy with the tyres on the front there as well. I didn't think he would be, to be fair, as well. It's not really his style and situation to like those said tyre. So here we come then, into the hairpin. We've backed out of the lap now as Norris. Traffic, City, Alonso, Bortoletto, and Hamilton with Antonelli as well on the driver tracker, all flying in together. It's hard to get a read on where you need to be, unfortunately. So right now then, yellows are slowly coming in on the timing board. Hamilton's backed out, Bortoletto's there as well. Hamilton has to cut the corner due to Bortoletto. So the flags were waving. Let's have a replay. Norris jumping over the sausage curbs here, Kroon.
As rear tyres leave the ground, that's not normally a positive.
He pushed the barrier, though.
Proper airborne there from Lando Norris, and that's the landing for Lando.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is the middle of the day.
That's not the traffic, mate.
That's why he packed off in the middle sector. It wasn't his choice.
Let's just take it quickly. You know, we're obviously middle of the day now, coming up to 1:30 local time. The temperature should start to fall, particularly when we get to Q3. It might still be up at the start of Q1, and that might again swing the sort of decision back to the soft.
Fuel burning on the Ferrari, it's a little bit lighter, and Charles Leclerc is finding time. Verstappen isn't currently.
So great space. Ferrari have put Leclerc in a lovely bit of clear space here, and that's helping him get the rhythm, I think.
All the congestion is out of Casino Square at the moment. 2.8,
wow.
0.028 off with Max Verstappen further away for Charles Leclerc. Into the 1 minute 10s. For Charles Leclerc, suits the fan club very nicely indeed. Sonoda keeps out of the way for Piastri. Piastri was 3/10 down on Leclerc on the first sector in this lap.
The other thing with the traffic, there's only one car in the entire first sector at the moment, is Liam Lawson.
You know,
there's places where you can find a nice big gap, and Leclerc was the same.
Gasly's got the best gap out there, look at that.
Yeah. Now, so let's keep an eye on them and see what laps they delivers. Piastri runs up to the line and does not improve.
Ahead of him.
P4 for Oscar Piastri. Verstappen with his best time on the medium tyre. It's amazing, isn't it, how the car handling and balance changes from one set of tyres to another.
Yellow flag in sector 14, that's where Alonso, that's to back. Is this 4-lap traffic? I think so, yeah. Car's just darting out of the way, and Lawson's had to lift off as well coming through there, and that's going to be a nightmare as Sainz starts again his lap time. Verstappen's in there too, so it's just getting chaotic. Look at the driver tracker. This is what Jensen was saying with Karun as well. Gasly's had to back out of his lap time because he's been passed by Leclerc. And Behrman's just gone through now on him down at the Nouvelle Chicane. That's where we are right now on our TV pictures. So the traffic here is just absolutely ludicrous. It is gaining time and time. And yeah, Piastri, Stroll and Bortoleto all caught together. Norris is going to catch that battle soon. If anything, best driver on the track right now is Behrman. He's got a nice gap to Verstappen. Hamilton's off! Hamilton very slow at Casino Square. Double yellows come out, and Lewis Hamilton has hit the barrier and wrapped around the advertisement on the rear right. And he's knocked off the front right tyre as well. Red flag is out. Now that to me looks like, yeah, that's weird because the tyre rims actually come off. That looks to me like he's hit the wall and had an instant puncture rather than any other damage. But the red flag is out. We won't get any practice starts. And Lewis Hamilton, the Ferrari Tifosi, are absolutely livid here as he aims to become the first man in history to be on a podium in Monaco with 3 different manufacturers. Ayrton Senna wanted that back in 1994. Tragically, one race before, he could never really get that chance. And, well, Lewis Hamilton, on his first try, smashed into the wall. There's no visible damage to the actual car. It's the rear right tyre, which has got advertising wrapped around it. And the front right has lost its wheel. But it's the actual rubber that's come off, not the wheel. Here it is now. So it's up Beau Rivage. It's going to be at Massenet. Does the rear step out at Massenet and pop off into Massenet? Yeah, the rear steps out at Massenet. Oh, and it's actually done a lot more damage than I thought it would, yeah. So the rear steps out at the top of Massenet. He loses the rear. It slaps into the barrier. So the rear right's broken. The front right's broken as well. Floor damage too.
Guys, get the wall. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
And how rare is it for Lewis Hamilton to make these type of mistakes and these type of errors? And the young fan there absolutely beside himself. Red flag out, session will not be resumed.
It's not an easy situation for him at that point.
That could be risky for the gearbox, I think.
So
because
they'll change it?
Yeah. I think to be safe. They've been burned here once before, haven't they, with Leclerc, where they didn't change the gearbox. You know, when he crashed in qualifying on that occasion because of the penalty implications.
Yeah, they check things over and then next day he didn't start the race.
And I think it's not worth the risk.
What did you say crashed?
Lewis, in turn 3.
Oh, Charles was not happy with that one.
Exactly. From the highs of Charles Leclerc, fastest in that session, to the lows for Lewis Hamilton, who has crashed at Massenet. 5th fastest, but he was trying to improve his pace at the end of that session. And, well, there's evidence once again, JB, that mistakes are easy to find around here.
Yeah, they are. And, you know, I have to put some of that down to, personally, that there was a car in front. It definitely hurts your downforce through there. You're so loaded up through that corner. Massively high-speed corner. You're risking a lot at this point. You've got low fuel, trying to get that last lap before qualifying. And, you know, a loss of downforce definitely has hurt him there.
No surprises that the session wasn't resumed. Checkered flag should have come out, actually, because we've now gone past 1:30 in the afternoon. That is it for practice. And I think the upshot is that in these conditions, Ferrari are still very much in it, and Charles Leclerc, if it was qualifying purely on confidence, he'd be on pole position already.
Definitely, you know, especially because he did it right at the end. You know, Max has had a couple of tough laps out there, but it's fresh in Charles' mind how quick he's been. Obviously, we're not going to get the practice starts, which is not a great thing for the teams. You know, they need that information.
They've only got, what, 159 metres from pole to the first corner. They don't need practice starts here, JB. They've done enough of that in the past. For me, Charles Leclerc, high on confidence, flying, finding the way to treat the tyres. Track conditions are going to change a bit before qualifying. Does that bring Verstappen back into play? But where are McLaren here? they seem to be losing a lot of time in that first sector that they're finding very difficult then to fully make up.
Yeah, exactly. Their middle sector is very strong, as good as anyone, and sector 3 very close, but it's the first sector, 2 or 3 tenths down, and it's such a short sector as well. It's 18 seconds long. It's you know, 3 corners.
And it's mainly straights.
Yeah, it is. It's the drag up the hill, which is the biggest one.
So can they take a little bit of wing off? Does that give them a bit more of a helping hand?
I'm wondering if it is that, or if they're just not getting the tyres working for turn 1. They don't have the confidence to hit the brakes hard like the Red Bulls and Ferraris.
Oscar Piastri, 4th fastest in that session. As he wanders away to the briefing rooms. Williams were right up there. Albon and Sainz. Race control have just noted Antonelli and Ocon, who were the cars ahead of Lewis Hamilton at Massenet.
Impeding.
And the stewards might have a little look at that if they take, or if race control take a view that the stewards should. And you say, Jenson Button, you know, that could well be down to the cars in front causing that accident, because they were going too slowly, they were too close to a racing line, and Hamilton was being affected by it. We'll see what happens ahead of qualifying.
So here's the results then as well from the end of this one. It's Leclerc on top from Verstappen, Norris, Piastri and Hamilton, Albon, Lawson, Sainz, Tsunoda, Antonelli, Russell, Alonso, Hulkenberg, Gasly, Stroll, Behrman, Hadjar, Ocon, Bortoleto and Colapinto in 20th. Well, we'll be back next for the F2 sprint race. Join us here on JB Motorsports. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.